The military outpost stood isolated against a backdrop of rugged mountains and the relentless wind that whipped through its steel-framed structures. Soldiers moved briskly between barracks and command tents, their faces set in the familiar expression of readiness and endurance. The hum of radios and the clang of metal echoed faintly, underscoring the gravity of the mission that lay ahead. Amid this orchestrated chaos, a solitary figure approached the main gate, a young woman whose presence seemed to ripple through the assembled ranks. Ilara's boots crunched against the gravel pathway, each step steady and deliberate. Her uniform, while crisp and well-fitted, bore no insignia beyond the standard rank patches, leaving her origins ambiguous to the onlookers. Her dark eye scanned the compound with a quiet intensity, betraying none of the weariness that should have accompanied her long journey. Soldiers paused, whispering among themselves, their curiosity piqued by the newcomer who dared to enter without fanfare or introduction. At the heart of the outpost, General Marcus stood on the observation platform, arms crossed, a stern figure carved from years of command and hardened by countless battles. His gaze swept over the courtyard with a practiced eye, evaluating every movement, every expression. When Ilara was brought before him, escorted by a junior officer, his brow furrowed in skepticism. The general's reputation for decisiveness was matched only by his intolerance for uncertainty or weakness. "State your name and purpose," Marcus demanded, his voice cutting through the morning air like a blade. "Ilara," she replied, her voice calm and measured. "I request permission to join the upcoming mission." The general's eyes narrowed. "You're aware this is not a standard deployment. This mission requires exceptional skill, resilience, and loyalty. What makes you believe you are suited for it?" Ilara met his gaze unflinchingly. "I understand the risks, sir. I am prepared to prove my capabilities." A murmur rippled through the assembled soldiers. Some exchanged doubtful glances, others simply watched, waiting to see how this challenge would unfold. General Marcus turned his attention back to her, weighing the resolve in her posture against the unspoken question of her origins. "Where do you come from?" he asked bluntly. The question hung heavy in the air. Ilara hesitated only briefly before responding. "I come from a background that has trained me for this moment." "That's not an answer," Marcus said sharply. "Details." The tension was palpable, drawing the eyes of Lieutenant Rowe and Sergeant Harris, who observed from the sidelines. Both men had earned their stripes through years of service and shared the general's initial skepticism. Yet something about Ilara unsettled them, an aura of quiet strength that defied easy categorization. Ilara's lips pressed into a thin line. "My family has a history of service, sir. I was trained from a young age in combat, strategy, and survival. I don't expect your trust immediately, but I am ready to earn it." General Marcus scoffed lightly, a sound devoid of warmth. "Family history doesn't guarantee skill. You'll need to demonstrate more than words." Ilara nodded, unfazed. "I'm aware. I only asked for the chance." The general's eyes flicked briefly over her form, noting the subtle tension in her shoulders, the steady rhythm of her breathing. Despite his doubts, there was an undeniable presence about her, a sense that she was not merely another hopeful recruit. "Very well," Marcus said finally. "We have training drills scheduled in the coming days. You will participate. Your performance will determine whether you remain here or are sent back." He stepped down from the platform, signaling the end of the exchange. Ilara inclined her head in acknowledgement, then turned with measured steps toward the training grounds. The soldiers parted around her, some with lingering skepticism, others with a flicker of curiosity. Lieutenant Rowe exchanged a look with Sergeant Harris. "She's got nerves of steel," Rowe murmured. Harris nodded slowly. "But nerves aren't enough. We'll see if she's got the skill to back it up." As Ilara approached the training area, the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the obstacle courses and firing ranges. The air was thick with anticipation, the kind that precedes tests of endurance and willpower. Around her, the seasoned soldiers prepared their gear, their movements efficient and practiced. Some glanced at her with thinly veiled doubt, others with the faintest hint of respect for her unyielding calm. Ilara's mind, however, was elsewhere. Memories flickered at the edges, early mornings spent running drills with her father, the steady cadence of commands echoing through dense forests, the sting of cold rain during night exercises. These recollections were not just memories, they were the foundation of her resolve. As she warmed up, stretching methodically, her gaze drifted to the general, who lingered by the command tent, arms folded, an expression unreadable. Marcus's eyes met hers briefly, a silent challenge passing between them. Ilara's jaw tightened slightly, but her posture remained unbroken, signaling her readiness to face whatever trials awaited. The first drill was a test of endurance, running a grueling course through uneven terrain, laden with equipment. Soldiers dashed forward at the general's signal, muscles straining, breaths ragged. Ilara moved with a steady pace, her form efficient and controlled. Some of the younger soldiers raced ahead, but many faltered as exhaustion took its toll. Observers noted how Ilara's face remained composed, her breathing measured even as sweat beaded on her forehead. She navigated obstacles with practiced precision, vaulting over barriers and scaling walls with a fluidity that spoke of countless hours of training. By the time she crossed the finish line, the crowd had grown quiet, the initial murmurs of doubt replaced by a grudging acknowledgement. General Marcus's expression remained stoic, but a flicker of interest sparked in his eyes. He motioned his aides forward, signaling the next phase of evaluation, a combat simulation that demanded both tactical acumen and physical prowess. As the drills progressed, Ilara's performance continued to challenge the expectations of those around her. Yet the general's skepticism lingered, rooted not in her abilities but in the mystery surrounding her background. Her refusal to divulge details beyond vague references to her family's history only deepened the enigma. Lieutenant Rowe approached Ilara during a brief pause between exercises. "You're holding back something," he said quietly. "There's more to your story." Ilara met his gaze steadily. "I'll reveal what's necessary when the time comes. For now, I focus on the mission." Rowe nodded slowly, respect mingling with curiosity. "Fair enough. Just know that here, trust is earned as much by honesty as by skill." The afternoon wore on, and the sun dipped lower, casting the outpost in a golden haze. Soldiers gathered around the command tents, exchanging impressions and assessments. Whispers of Ilara's unexpected endurance and composure circulated, challenging the preconceived notions held by many. General Marcus observed from a distance, his posture rigid but contemplative. The young woman had not only met the physical demands of the drills but had done so with an unshakable calm that unsettled even the most seasoned officers. Yet the lingering question of her true lineage and the source of her resilience gnawed at him. As twilight settled, Ilara stood apart from the crowd, her silhouette framed by the fading light. The weight of unspoken expectations pressed upon her, but her resolve remained unbroken. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and with them, the opportunity to prove that strength was more than muscle and training, it was legacy, honor, and the quiet fire that burned beneath the surface. For now, the outpost held its breath, caught between doubt and possibility, as a young woman named Ilara prepared to carve her place among warriors who had long questioned the measure of her strength. The early morning chill clung to the outpost as soldiers gathered for their daily briefing, the sharp scent of pine and cold metal filling the air. Ilara stood among them, her posture relaxed but alert, eyes scanning the assembled faces. Whispers of her performance the previous day rippled through the ranks, some laced with skepticism, others tinged with reluctant respect. Yet beneath the surface, a quiet tension simmered, a sense that Ilara carried more than just determination into this place. Lieutenant Rowe watched her closely from the sidelines, his expression a mixture of curiosity and guarded approval. He had seen countless recruits stumble under pressure, but there was something different about Ilara, a subtle confidence that didn't demand attention but quietly commanded it. Beside him, Sergeant Harris nodded in agreement, his eyes narrowing as he observed her movements during the warm-up exercises. "She's holding back," Harris muttered under his breath, not expecting Rowe to respond. Rowe's gaze didn't waver from Ilara. "I don't think it's about fear or hesitation. She knows something we don't." The briefing commenced with General Marcus stepping forward, his voice crisp and authoritative. "Today's drills will test not only your physical endurance but your tactical adaptability. Ilara, you'll be evaluated alongside the rest. Remember, this mission requires more than brute strength, it demands strategy and resilience." Ilara inclined her head in acknowledgement, the faintest trace of a smile touching her lips. The general's tone was sharp, but she sensed the undercurrent of doubt beneath his words. It was an unspoken challenge, one she was ready to meet. The first exercise was a tactical simulation designed to test quick thinking under pressure. Teams were dispatched into a mock urban environment with shifting objectives and hidden threats. Ilara moved with measured precision, her eyes constantly scanning, assessing. She communicated quietly with her teammates, issuing commands that were concise yet effective. Her voice carried the calm assurance of someone who had been trained beyond the standard protocols. Lieutenant Rowe observed the simulation from an elevated position, noting how Ilara's decisions were deliberate and calculated, often anticipating the opposing team's moves before they happened. "She's not just reacting, she's controlling the situation," he remarked to Sergeant Harris. Harris grunted, eyes fixed on the unfolding scenario. That kind of foresight comes from experience. Not just training, but instinct. Meanwhile, General Marcus watched from a distance, his arms folded, lips pressed into a thin line. His skepticism hadn't ebbed, if anything, it had deepened. Ilara's skills were undeniable, but the mystery of her past gnawed at him. Where did she learn this, he wondered aloud. Who trained her to be this precise? During a brief lull in the exercise, Ilara found herself cornered by a group of soldiers who had been vocal in their doubts. One of them, a burly private named Jensen, stepped forward, a smirk playing on his lips. "So, what's the story, Ilara?" Jensen taunted, voice dripping with condescension. "You keep showing us moves like you've been through hell and back. But you won't tell us where you're from." "What? Afraid we won't like the answer." Ilara met his gaze steadily, refusing to be rattled. "It's not about where I come from. It's about what I'm here to do." Jensen laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Yeah, right. Everyone here has a story. But secrets don't build trust." Before the tension could escalate, Sergeant Harris stepped in, his voice low but firm. "Enough, Jensen. We judge people by their actions, not whispers." The group dispersed reluctantly, but the seed of doubt had been sown deeper. Ilara's silence was both a shield and a source of suspicion, a paradox that kept her isolated yet undeniably intriguing. Later, during a weapons drill, Ilara showcased a mastery that bordered on instinctual. Her movements were fluid, precise, and efficient, a dance honed through countless hours of practice. She reloaded with mechanical speed, her shots finding their marks with unerring accuracy. Observers noted how she adjusted her stance subtly, compensating for wind and distance in ways that spoke of deeper knowledge. Lieutenant Rowe approached her during a break, eyes searching. "You're not just a soldier passing through, are you?" Ilara shook her head slowly. "No. I'm here for something bigger." Rowe's eyebrows lifted. "Something bigger?" She hesitated, then spoke quietly. "My training wasn't just about combat. It was about legacy, a duty passed down through generations." Rowe studied her, trying to reconcile the quiet intensity in her eyes with the layers of mystery she carried. "That kind of legacy, it means a lot around here. But it also means expectations." Ilara's gaze hardened. "I'm ready." As the day wore on, Ilara's subtle displays of skill and resilience continued to unsettle the troops. She navigated obstacle courses with effortless grace, her endurance seemingly limitless. Yet it was not just her physical abilities that captivated attention, it was the quiet confidence that suggested a deeper reservoir of strength. In the mess hall, whispers followed her like shadows. Some soldiers speculated about her past, weaving stories that ranged from elite special forces to secretive military families. Others dismissed her as an enigma not worth unraveling. Still, a few looked to her with tentative admiration, sensing the potential for leadership beneath the surface. General Marcus convened a private meeting with Lieutenant Rowe and Sergeant Harris as dusk settled over the outpost. The fading light cast long shadows across the tent's interior, mirroring the uncertainty that clouded their discussion. "She's different," Marcus admitted, voice low. "Not just in skill, but in how she carries herself. There's a discipline there that's rare." Rowe nodded. I've seen recruits with better records, but none with that kind of calm under pressure. The question remains, Marcus mused, who is she, really? And why the secrecy? Harris leaned forward, eyes serious. Whatever her story, she's earned a place here, at least by merit. But trust isn't built overnight. Marcus's gaze hardened. We'll test her further. The mission won't wait for us to unravel her past. If she's as capable as she seems, she'll prove it soon enough. Back in her quarters, Ilara sat alone, the dim light casting shadows on the walls. Her hands traced the faint outline of a hidden mark beneath her sleeve, a tattoo she kept concealed, a symbol of a lineage known only to a select few. It was a reminder of the weight she bore, the expectation she carried silently. Outside, the wind whispered through the outpost, carrying with it the unspoken doubts and hopes of those who watched her. Ilara's breath was steady, her resolve firm. The path ahead was uncertain, but one truth remained clear: beneath the veil of mystery, her strength was real, and it awaited the moment to be fully revealed. The sky was heavy with overcast clouds as the morning briefing unfolded beneath the stark metal canopy of the command tent. The air inside was thick with anticipation and unspoken tensions. Soldiers gathered in tight clusters, exchanging glances and whispered speculations about the newcomer who had stirred the ranks. At the center stood General Marcus, his sharp gaze cutting through the murmurs like a blade, ready to address the questions that had begun to fester in the minds of his men, and in his own. Ilara waited quietly at the edge of the gathering, her expression composed but resolute. The previous days had tested her in ways both physical and psychological, yet she bore the subtle marks of endurance and defiance. Her eyes held a calm fire, one that neither doubt nor disdain had been able to extinguish. General Marcus cleared his throat, drawing the attention of every soldier present. We've seen the skills and determination displayed by some among us, he began, eyes locking onto Ilara with a measured intensity. But skills alone do not guarantee success. Understanding who you are is the foundation of trust, and trust is essential. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Soldiers glanced at Ilara, their expressions a mix of curiosity and impatience. The general's words were an unmistakable challenge. Miss Ilara, Marcus continued, stepping forward, we've observed your capabilities. Yet, your background remains vague. I need to know, what qualifies you for this mission? What is your lineage? The question hung heavy in the air. Ilara's gaze steadied, her fingers curling slightly as memory surged unbidden, the days spent beneath the stern gaze of her father, the rigorous training that had forged her into something more than a soldier, a legacy etched into every fiber of her being. She spoke, voice clear and unwavering. I come from a family with a history of warriors, sir. A lineage that has dedicated itself to service and sacrifice across generations. My training was not just a preparation for battle, but a commitment to uphold that legacy. General Marcus's lips pressed into a thin line, his eyes narrowing. A noble claim, he said, but lineage means little without proof. Many have spoken of their heritage, few bear the mark of it. Ilara's sleeve shifted imperceptibly as she adjusted her stance, revealing a hint of intricate ink curling along her forearm, an emblem partially hidden beneath the fabric. A few soldiers caught the glimpse, their eyes widening with recognition, but the general's focus remained sharp, as if searching for confirmation. Lieutenant Rowe, standing nearby, exchanged a glance with Sergeant Harris. Both men leaned in slightly, sensing the significance of the symbol they had just seen. It was a crest known only to certain elite military families, an insignia that spoke of honor, history, and an unbroken chain of warriors. Marcus's gaze flicked back to Ilara, his voice now edged with cautious respect. That tattoo, he said slowly, it's not common knowledge. Few bear it, and fewer still have lived to tell the tale. Ilara met his eyes without hesitation. It is a symbol of my family's commitment and sacrifice. I carry it not for recognition, but as a reminder of the responsibility I bear. The dynamic in the room shifted almost imperceptibly. Soldiers who had been skeptical moments before now regarded her with a mixture of reverence and curiosity. The general's stance softened, the rigid lines of command blurring with a newfound acknowledgement. Very well, Marcus said, voice steady, if you claim this heritage, then you will need to prove it, not just through trials, but through leadership and strategy. The mission ahead will test every facet of your ability. Elara nodded, the weight of the challenge settling heavily but purposefully on her shoulders. I accept, sir. A brief silence followed before Marcus addressed the group as a whole. The upcoming tests will be rigorous. We will need every ounce of skill and resolve. For those who doubt, this is your chance to witness true strength. As the briefing concluded, the soldiers dispersed, conversations buzzing with speculation about Elara's lineage and the implications of her tattoo. Some approached her tentatively, seeking answers, others observed from a distance, their attitudes tempered by the revelation. Later, as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the training grounds, Elara prepared herself for the challenge ahead. The grueling trial, designed to push her limits physically and mentally, loomed like a gauntlet. Yet beneath the surface nerves, she felt a steady pulse of determination. Flashbacks flickered through her mind, childhood mornings spent beneath the watchful eyes of her family, learning not just to fight but to think, to lead, to endure. Each lesson had been etched into her soul, a foundation upon which she now stood. Lieutenant Rowe approached, his face a mix of encouragement and caution. We all want to see what you're truly capable of, Elara. Just remember, it's not just about proving yourself to the general or the others. It's about proving it to yourself. Elara offered a faint smile. I've never needed proof, just the chance to show it. As night fell, the outpost settled into a tense quietude. The trial awaited, promising to reveal not only her physical prowess but the depth of the legacy she carried, a legacy symbolized by a tattoo that had shifted the balance of doubt into respect. Elara's breathing was steady as she prepared to face the crucible, knowing that the journey ahead would demand everything she had, and more. The morning air was thick with anticipation as the soldiers assembled at the edge of the rugged training field, the ground scarred by years of drills and exercises. The sun struggled to pierce through a blanket of grey clouds, casting a muted light over the scene. Elara stood among the ranks, her sleeves rolled up just enough to reveal the intricate tattoo curling along her forearm. The faded ink, a family crest known to only a select few, marked her as part of an elite lineage, a secret until now. General Marcus observed from the command post, his eyes sharp beneath a furrowed brow. The tension between skepticism and respect hung palpably in the air, thickening as the trial about to commence promised to separate the proven from the pretenders. The trial was no ordinary test, it was a grueling sequence of challenges designed to push the mind and body to their limits, obstacles, tactical puzzles, and endurance runs that would reveal true character. Elara's muscles tensed with readiness, the weight of the tattoo significant settling over her like armor. Around her, soldiers whispered, some stealing glances at the emblem, others exchanging uncertain looks. The symbol had shifted the dynamic among them, transforming doubt into a cautious curiosity. The signal to begin came abruptly, a sharp crack of a whistle slicing through the morning stillness. Elara launched forward, navigating the obstacle course with a fluidity that betrayed countless hours of disciplined training. Walls were scaled with practiced ease, narrow ledges traversed without hesitation, and low tunnels crossed with agile precision. Her breathing remained steady, her focus unbroken. As the course progressed, she approached the final station, a tactical puzzle requiring both speed and strategic thinking. Two soldiers stood by, timing and observing every move. Elara's fingers deftly manipulated the components, her mind calculating patterns and possibilities in a dance of logic and instinct. The seconds ticked by, but she remained calm, methodical. General Marcus's gaze narrowed as her sleeve shifted during the intense concentration, fully revealing the family crest. Recognition flashed across his face, quickly replaced by a guarded respect. The tattoo was more than ink, it was a declaration, an unspoken testament to heritage and honor. Marcus stepped down from his vantage point, moving closer to the field. His voice carried over the murmurs of the gathered troops. Elara, your performance speaks volumes. That crest is a symbol of sacrifice and leadership known to few. It marks those who carry not just strength, but responsibility. The soldiers around them fell silent, the weight of his words settling like a stone. Elara met his eyes, unflinching, the quiet pride in her own gaze answering the acknowledgement. I wear it as a reminder, she said steadily, of the duty I inherited, and the standard I must uphold. The general's posture shifted, the rigidity of command softening into something more collaborative. Your skills, combined with that legacy, demand respect. The mission ahead will require that you lead, not just follow. Lieutenant Rowe and Sergeant Harris exchanged a glance, understanding the gravity of the moment. The veil of doubt that had clouded Ilara's presence was lifted, replaced by a recognition that she was no ordinary soldier. She was a bearer of a legacy that demanded excellence. As the trial concluded, Ilara's fellow soldiers approached with guarded nods and tentative words of encouragement. The whispered conversations now held a tone of reverence, the family crest tattoo having transformed her from an outsider into a leader. Later, in the dim light of the command tent, General Marcus spoke directly to Ilara, his voice low but firm. Your heritage has been revealed, and with it, the expectations that come. This trial was not just a test of skill, but a confirmation of your place among us. Ilara inclined her head, the weight of responsibility settling heavily but resolutely on her shoulders. I understand, sir. I am ready to meet whatever challenges lie ahead. The general's eyes lingered on the tattoo before him, a silent nod acknowledging the unspoken bond between past and present. Outside, the outpost hummed with renewed purpose, the presence of the family crest a beacon of strength and honor amidst uncertainty. Ilara's breathing remained steady as she prepared for the next phase of her journey, the tattoo a constant reminder of the legacy she now openly carried, a legacy that would shape the battles to come and the trust she would earn from those around her. The dawn broke with a muted glow, casting pale light over the jagged terrain that framed the military outpost. Ilara stood at the edge of the briefing circle, the family crest tattoo now fully visible on her forearm, a mark that had transformed whispers of doubt into murmurs of respect. Today was no ordinary day, the mission ahead was critical, fraught with dangers that tested every skill she possessed, and those she had yet to reveal. General Marcus moved among the assembled troops, his presence commanding silence. His eyes, once skeptical, now held an unmistakable acknowledgement of Ilara's lineage and capability. This mission will require more than strength, he began, voice steady and solemn. It will demand leadership, strategy, and courage under fire. Ilara, you will be taking point. A ripple of surprise passed through the ranks. To some, the decision was unexpected, to others, it was a natural outcome of her proven skill and the legacy she carried. Ilara's gaze met Marcus's without hesitation. Understood, sir. I'm ready. The briefing unfolded swiftly, detailing a complex operation targeting a network of hostile forces entrenched in the nearby hills. Intelligence suggested fortified positions, ambush points, and unpredictable terrain. Success depended on careful navigation and coordinated strikes, no room for error. As the soldiers prepared, Ilara's mind drifted briefly to her childhood, to the rigorous training that had shaped her. She remembered her father's steady voice as he taught her not just to fight but to think, to anticipate, to adapt, to lead. Each lesson had been a thread woven into the fabric of her being, a legacy embodied in the very crest on her arm. The convoy rumbled to life, engines growling as vehicles rolled out, kicking up dust that hung in the dry air. Inside the lead vehicle, Ilara reviewed maps and communication protocols, coordinating with Lieutenant Rowe and Sergeant Harris, who had become trusted allies. Their eyes met with unspoken understanding, the mission stakes were clear. The terrain grew harsher, the path winding through rocky outcrops and dense thickets. Ilara's senses sharpened, every sound and shadow scrutinized for threats. The team moved with disciplined precision, yet the tension was palpable, a silent acknowledgement of the dangers ahead. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the valley, the unmistakable sound of gunfire. Ambush! Ilara's training took over instantly. She barked orders with calm authority, directing her squad to take cover and return fire. Her commands were concise, strategic, and effective. The family crest on her arm caught the glint of early sunlight as she moved among her team, rallying them with a steady presence that calmed frayed nerves. The firefight was intense but brief. Ilara's leadership turned the tide, guiding her squad through the chaos, exploiting enemy weaknesses, and securing a tactical advantage. As the smoke cleared, the soldiers looked to her, not just as a commander but as a symbol of resilience and strength. In the aftermath, Ilara took a moment to assess the situation. Communications crackled with reports and requests for support. The mission was far from over, and the terrain ahead promised more challenges. Lieutenant Rowe approached, wiping sweat from his brow. "That was impressive, Ilara. Your leadership kept us focused." Sergeant Harris nodded in agreement. "You handled that like you've been leading squads for years." Ilara's expression remained focused. "It's not just about leading, it's about understanding what's at stake. This mission affects more than just us." As they pressed forward, the narrative of the mission intertwined with Ilara's personal story. Her training had been relentless, countless hours honing combat skills, mastering survival techniques, and developing tactical acumen. But beneath the physical preparation lay the weight of her family's legacy, a lineage that had shaped her values and sense of duty. The crest on her arm was more than a symbol, it was a reminder of sacrifices made and the responsibility to honor those who came before. Each decision she made was informed by that history, guiding her through the complexities of command. The squad encountered further resistance, hidden traps, sniper fire, and shifting enemy formations. Yet Ilara's leadership held firm. She adapted strategies in real time, coordinating flanking maneuvers and securing key positions with precision. Throughout the mission, the soldiers rallied around her, their trust in her growing with every successful engagement. The transformation was palpable, the doubts of the past replaced by confidence and loyalty. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the hills, the team reached the mission's critical objective, a fortified compound believed to house enemy command elements. Ilara surveyed the position, calculating risks and opportunities. "Prepare for final assault," she commanded, voice steady. "This is where we make our stand." The soldiers moved into position, a coordinated force ready to execute the plan. Ilara's mind raced through contingencies, every move reflecting the lessons ingrained from childhood through years of rigorous training. The assault was swift and decisive. Ilara led from the front, her crest visible to all, a beacon of the legacy she embodied. The enemy resistance crumbled under coordinated pressure, and within hours, the compound was secured. As the dust settled, General Marcus arrived, his expression unreadable but eyes shining with approval. He approached Ilara, extending a hand. "You've proven not just skill but leadership worthy of your heritage." Ilara accepted the gesture firmly. "Thank you, sir. This mission is just the beginning." Marcus nodded. "Your family's legacy lives on through you. We'll need that strength in the days ahead." The soldiers gathered around, some offering nods and words of respect. Ilara's journey from doubted newcomer to respected leader was no longer a secret whispered in the shadows, it was a reality etched into the fabric of the outpost. As night cloaked the landscape, Ilara stood apart for a moment, her gaze on the stars above. The crest on her arm seemed to pulse with quiet power, a symbol of everything she had inherited and everything she was destined to become. The mission had tested her in every way, revealing the depth of her training and the unyielding spirit of her lineage. But it also marked the beginning of a larger battle, a fight for honor, for trust, and for the future she was sworn to protect. Ilara's breath was steady as she prepared for what lay ahead, the weight of her family's legacy both a burden and a beacon, guiding her through the uncertainties of war and the challenges yet to come. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and earth, the aftermath of the mission still settling over the outpost like a heavy fog. Soldiers moved with measured purpose, tending to equipment, exchanging quiet words of relief and respect. Ilara stood among them, the family crest tattoo on her forearm catching the fading light, a symbol now recognized and honored by all who served alongside her. General Marcus approached, his steps deliberate, the weight of command evident in his bearing. The years of battle had etched lines into his face, but there was a softness in his eyes as they met Ilara's steady gaze. Around them, the murmurs of soldiers quieted, sensing the gravity of the moment. "Ilara," Marcus began, voice firm yet carrying an undercurrent of acknowledgement, "your leadership during the operation was exemplary. You not only met the challenges but exceeded every expectation." Ilara inclined her head respectfully. "Thank you, sir. It was a team effort. Without their trust and support, none of it would have been possible." Marcus's eyes lingered on the tattoo visible beneath her rolled-up sleeve. "That crest, it's more than just a mark. It represents a legacy of sacrifice and honor. Today, you've affirmed that legacy." He reached into his jacket and produced a medal, its polished surface gleaming despite the dimming light. In recognition of your valor and leadership, I am awarding you the Distinguished Service Medal. It is a testament not only to your skill but to the heritage you uphold. A hush fell over the assembled soldiers as Marcus pinned the medal to Ilara's uniform. The gesture was simple, but its significance resonated deeply within the ranks. Whispers of admiration spread like wildfire, the narrative of the once doubted newcomer transformed into that of a respected leader and symbol of hope. Lieutenant Rowe stepped forward, his voice steady. "Ilara, your actions have inspired us all. The way you carried the weight of your family's legacy while leading us through the toughest moments, it's something we'll remember." Sergeant Harris nodded in agreement. "You set a new standard for what it means to serve. Not just in skill, but in heart." Ilara's expression softened, the fatigue of battle momentarily giving way to a quiet pride. "I carry this legacy not for personal glory, but to honor those who came before me, and to ensure that their sacrifices were not in vain." The soldiers gathered closer, the camaraderie palpable. The family crest tattoo, once a hidden symbol, now served as a beacon, binding them together in shared purpose and respect. As the evening deepened, Ilara found a moment alone beneath the stars, the cool night air a balm to her weary body. Her fingers traced the outline of the tattoo, the intricate design a reminder of the responsibility she bore. It was a mark of strength, resilience, and an unbroken chain of warriors who had paved the way. Thoughts drifted to her training, the countless hours spent honing skills, the lessons passed down through generations. Each had prepared her for this moment, where legacy met action in the crucible of war. Back inside the command tent, General Marcus addressed his officers. "This mission has proven that leadership and strength come in many forms. Ilara's journey reminds us that history and honor are living forces, shaping who we are today and who we must become." The officers exchanged nods, the respect for Ilara's role clear. Her story was no longer just her own, it was woven into the fabric of the outpost's identity. In the days that followed, Ilara embraced her new role with unwavering commitment. She took on greater responsibilities, leading training exercises, strategizing operations, and mentoring soldiers who once doubted her. Her presence became a stabilizing force, a living testament to perseverance and integrity. The family crest tattoo, once concealed, was now worn proudly, a symbol not just of heritage but of earned trust and earned respect. It reminded all who saw it that true strength lay not only in actions but in the courage to stand firm in the face of doubt. Ilara's leadership sparked a renewed sense of unity among the troops, inspiring others to rise beyond their own limitations. Her journey became a blueprint for resilience, a narrative of transformation that resonated far beyond the boundaries of the outpost. As the sun rose each morning, casting light over the training grounds and battle-scarred terrain, Ilara stood ready, her gaze steady, her spirit unyielding. The mission had tested her in every way, but it had also forged a new path forward. The legacy of the family crest was affirmed, not just through symbols or medals, but through action and honor. Ilara had become more than a soldier, she was a leader, a symbol, and a beacon for those who dared to believe in strength beyond appearances. The outpost thrummed with renewed purpose, the echoes of past sacrifices guiding the soldiers toward a future shaped by courage, trust, and unbreakable resolve. And amid it all, Ilara remained steadfast, her story a testament to the enduring power of legacy and the unyielding spirit of those who carry it forward. Night had draped the outpost in shadows, the stars above faintly shimmering through the thin veil of clouds. Ilara stood on the ridge overlooking the valley, the cool wind tugging at her sleeves and carrying the distant sounds of campfires and quiet conversations. The family crest tattoo on her forearm was a steady presence beneath her rolled-up sleeve, a symbol of a legacy she had embraced fully, yet one that still weighed heavily on her shoulders. The victory of the recent mission had cemented her status within the ranks, yet Ilara knew that the battles ahead would test more than just her physical abilities. New threats were emerging, whispers of insurgent movements, intelligence reports of destabilizing forces gathering strength beyond the horizon. The mission had been a crucible, but the fire was far from over. Lieutenant Rowe approached quietly, his footsteps soft on the gravel. "The command wants to see you in the strategy tent," he said, his tone serious but respectful. Ilara nodded without turning. "I'm ready." Inside the strategy tent, maps and digital displays illuminated the room. General Marcus stood over the table, flanked by officers and analysts, their faces etched with concern and determination. The atmosphere was charged with urgency, the weight of responsibility pressing down on every shoulder. Marcus looked up as Ilara entered, his gaze steady. "We've intercepted communications indicating a coordinated assault on multiple fronts. The complexity and scale are unlike anything we've faced recently. This will require all of our resources and strong leadership." Ilara stepped forward, her eyes sweeping the maps and intel. "We need to anticipate their moves, not just react. If we can disrupt their supply lines and communication hubs early, we can force them into defensive positions." She traced a route along the map, highlighting vulnerable points. "I recommend a two-pronged approach. A strike team will infiltrate the eastern ridge to sever their logistics, while a coordinated push from the south will engage their main forces. Timing will be critical." Marcus nodded approvingly. "Your plan leveraged both strategy and the terrain. I want you leading the eastern strike." A mixture of respect and apprehension rippled through the room. Ilara's leadership had already proven itself, but the scale of this operation pushed into uncharted territory. As preparations for the mission intensified, Ilara's thoughts drifted to the journey that had brought her here, from the skeptical glances and whispered doubts to the unveiling of her family's crest and the hard-earned trust of her comrades. The tattoo was more than ink, it was a living bond with her ancestors, a mantle of responsibility she bore with fierce pride. In the quiet moments before deployment, Sergeant Harris approached her. "You've come a long way," he said quietly. "From the outsider they doubted to the leader we all rely on." Ilara allowed herself a brief smile. "It wasn't just me. Everyone here played a part. But I won't forget what it took to get here." The operation launched under the cover of darkness. Ilara led her strike team with precision, navigating treacherous terrain and avoiding enemy patrols. Each step was measured, each decision weighted by the lives depending on her. The family crest seemed to pulse beneath her sleeve, a silent reminder of the legacy guiding her actions. As they reached the supply lines, Ilara's team executed their objective flawlessly, disrupting communications and crippling enemy movements. Meanwhile, the southern forces engaged the main enemy contingent, stretching their defenses thin. The coordinated assault sowed confusion and disarray, tipping the balance in the outpost's favor. In the aftermath, as dawn painted the sky with hues of gold and pink, Ilara's team regrouped, weary but victorious. The mission was a success, but Ilara knew this was just one battle in a longer war. Back at the outpost, the soldiers looked to her not just as a commander, but as a symbol of resilience and hope. The family crest tattoo had become more than a mark of heritage, it was a beacon for those who had once doubted, a testament to strength forged through perseverance. Ilara's journey was far from over. The weight of her legacy was a constant companion, driving her forward through the uncertainties of war and leadership. Each challenge ahead would test her resolve, but she faced them with unwavering determination. As the outpost stirred to life beneath the rising sun, Ilara stood tall, the echoes of her family's past guiding her toward the future. The battles ahead would be fierce, but so too was the spirit she carried, the spirit of a warrior who had transformed doubt into strength, and who would continue to inspire those who followed. In the quiet dawn, with the crest visible and her heart resolute, Ilara prepared to face the new chapter of her mission, ready to honor her lineage and protect those who depended on her.